everyone. I am with Ryder Monroe, who we actually talked right before the pandemic started.
And we
Um,
did.
yeah, we got some funding from someone from Uber, and they wanted to give us money to shoot porn in the Bay. And my first person who I thought of, who I wanted to direct, was you, because you're a little bit older than me, but when I got into porn, I didn't really know much about trans porn, to be honest. I was mostly
Okay.
inspired by people like Stoya and Sasha Grey and Belladonna, kind of in the alt porn world. But being
Yeah.
like a trans woman, when I got into porn, I was obviously like put into the whole TS porn world. And I always thought you made such pretty porn that was
Oh,
like
thank
actually
you.
relatable as a trans woman, where I'm like, wow, that's this shit I actually do. Like, like, because so often you don't really get that in trans porn, where it's so much about like the male gaze and like what
Yeah,
people think men are into, who are into trans women, want to see.
absolutely.
And other than that, like, your social media presence is just so cool, and you're just like seem so genuine.
Oh, thank
And
you.
yeah, you just like always seem so genuine, and I've always really liked your branding, that you're just like, I'm Ryder Monroe. I don't have to put a TS in front of it. I don't have to define myself solely as that. Which, particularly when I
Oh,
came into porn, everyone had the TS before their name and all that.
yeah.
So,
No, I
well,
remember.
welcome to the show. So, where did your career begin? Like, where are you from?
I'm from Reston, Virginia, originally. It's
Okay,
a suburb of DC.
really? See, did you start your career there?
I did. I was a songwriter and I had moved to Virginia Beach and I was living there. And that's where I came out. And that's where I started my transition. And it was only like like 4 months after I came out that I was approached to get into porn, and I just jumped into it head first.
How old were you when you first got into porn?
I was 24.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I
So,
wasn't a
like,
baby.
yeah. So you just when you like first got into it, what like really drew you to it? Was there like porn that you liked, that you like related to, or was it just completely a new thing?
It was I wasn't so well versed in porn. I never really watched like a whole porno before. I'd seen like the clips and stuff that
Yeah.
people had put out. And so I just kind of, it was such a whirlwind coming out, and I lost a publishing contract at the time, and everything was falling apart with my family and a lot of
Mhm.
my personal relationships. And it was just like a an olive branch, or what's the word, a life preserver being sent
Yeah.
out to me, because I didn't really have any skills other than music at the time.
What
And
kind of music did what kind of music did you make?
I made like rock and pop, and I did R&B, and I had been signed to, I'd gone through a few different publishing deals as a songwriter, and I was also signed as an artist at the time. And just kind of fell apart because I was moving in this very femme direction.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
it was interesting because it was like I started taking promo pictures and I hadn't come out yet. And like I remember the guy I was signed to was like, I don't think this is going to work. I think you have to change to be more masculine, because you're supposed to be doing a glam rock thing, but you don't look like a glam rocker. You just look like a girl. And and I was, I'm flattered. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, you're like, that's great.
And but then right before I like really came out, they were just like, you know what? I kind of like this. This is actually something that could work. Um, let's go and let's do it. But at that point, I was just like, I got too much on my plate. I'm transitioning, and it's actually, I am a girl, and I can't do this anymore. I've got to concentrate on this. And it just kind of fell apart. So I had nothing really else to do. And porn was like a lifeline for me at the
Mhm.
time. So I just kind of jumped into it. And I had also been really, um, I guess, emotionally immature and sexually very immature.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a very much a late bloomer. So I was still like, when I transitioned, I was still a virgin at 24.
Oh wow.
And so like it was like you go from being a virgin to being a sex worker in the span of 4 months. It was like
Wow.
a huge 180 lifestyle change. And that was a lot, so
Yeah, I'm sure.
I
Like that's a lot to go through. Like, I
yeah.
also came from the music industry before porn as a concert
Oh,
promoter
cool.
and like played in bands and stuff. But like that you went from music to porn in that short of a time, like what was that adjustment like? Like also just not being a very sexual person, it sounds like before.
It was difficult. It was really difficult. It was really emotionally taxing. Um, there were a lot of similarities just in the show, just being in showbiz.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that the problems more so came from the heavy amount of transphobia that existed at the time, and me just being a sensitive person. I wasn't as equipped as some people to deal with those things, and
Hmm.
I had been such a withdrawn person before, that it was really difficult to be just like out on in the in the limelight. I did a shoot and I didn't expect it to be like a big thing. I thought that this was going to be something where I could make some money and um, you know strategize my next step
Hmm.
and try to get myself on my feet. And then it was like, okay, well, they're offering you a contract now and they want to do a site and I want you to move to Chicago. So I was just like, okay, well, this is a new opportunity. I'm going to go for this. And it worked out well, but it could have worked out. It could have gone the opposite way just as easily,
Definitely.
probably.
Yeah, I feel like being in the music industry before porn, it almost gives you a just like frame of how to like be creative, like a creative
Definitely.
person and deal with management and stuff. um
Definitely.
yeah, doing concert promotion and then being like, okay, I need to book shoots and I need to figure out when I have to be in this city and just
Mm.
figuring all that stuff out. I really don't feel like without like doing music stuff, I don't think I could have been able to do that early.
No,
Do
I
you feel the
agree.
same?
I agree. And also just dealing with men, because it's such a male dominated industry. Both of the industries are.
Definitely.
So you just have to kind of, and being a woman in that, in that environment is like, you have to develop a thick skin, and it's a lot of locker room talk um, you know, so
Yeah, a
it's
lot
gotten
of
better.
that.
I think it's gotten better with as society has gotten better, but it's still not great in that respect.
Yeah, I feel like specifically with porn, you brought up like transphobia early in porn. What year did you get into porn?
2011.
Okay, so
Mm,
pretty close to, I think I got in like 2013. I
yeah,
feel like then to now, like the transphobia and trans porn feels so different.
so different, so
Like,
different. I remember. I mean, just like a microcosm for it is like I remember like I was being told on like every day, multiple people would say to me, I'm not gay, but I would totally fuck you. I was getting that
yeah,
like every single, and I haven't gotten that in a while. So guys know not to say that now. So that's progress at least
yeah, definitely. I
in some
feel
small way.
even from like female performers, I got that stuff before where they're like, I don't know your gender, but I still think you're hot. And it's just like,
Yeah, yeah,
you could
totally.
just say, hey, you're hot. That's fine. You
Yeah.
don't need to have this
And
whole
it's gotten
preface.
better. Yeah. So
Yeah. And I,
it's gotten a lot better.
yeah, what else has changed, do you think, in porn since you've gotten in?
I mean, I remember that there would be lots of fans, and you wouldn't even be able to sell merchandise because your fans wouldn't ever want anyone to know that they were your fan. Um,
Wow.
Things like that. That was one thing. And,
Was that mostly like straight men or
yeah, yeah, mostly straight
wow.
men. but also even bisexual guys. Transphobia was just something that was so normalized in our society that it really was rarely even looked at as a type of bigotry. You know, it was just kind of like what it was. And I think that the disrespect was a lot more in your face, and now it's a
Hmm.
little bit more nuanced, you know, but it's still not great. You know, that's more a testament to how bad it was, and less to say that it's great now and it's all good now or anything.
Yeah, I just feel like when you look at like AVN or XBiz, the movies that are nominated now in like the trans category seem so different than they were
Yeah,
even,
definitely.
5 years ago, where it was, tranny everywhere, shemale everywhere. And now
Yeah.
it's really not like that. It's just
No, you're
so
right.
different over such a short amount of time.
No, I
So,
remember when I think it was like 2012, and you know, the trans girls weren't even allowed to walk the runway, and
mhm,
you didn't get any, you know, you didn't get the cis women got like a diamond bracelet or something when they won, and the trans women didn't get anything. That it wasn't televised,
yeah,
the trans stuff, and also it just wasn't done with any real care. You know, like they'd have people that won that didn't release a scene like all year, you know, so it was
yeah,
just like whatever. Like so the judges, like, it didn't really care about the genre. It was just a lot of disrespect, and it was very normalized. And thankfully, people fought it. I remember Wendy Williams was a big catalyst for change in the
mhm.
AVNs, and Stephen Gruby as well did some things. It's really nice to see how much things are changing, and I can't wait to see. I mean, I don't want to be 10 years older, but I can't wait to see what it's like in 10 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just there almost needs to be those people who are going to speak up. I remember there were a few other trans performers who really lobbied for trans women need to
Yeah,
be on the red
yeah,
carpet, they need to be on TV, all of that. I also think now like trans women can be nominated for awards that aren't trans related, which I
yeah,
feel
it's
is
so
like
great.
so different because
So
that
great.
was not a thing.
No,
Yeah,
not at
I
all.
I started working camming at Kink Live at the Armory when I first moved to the Bay, and my whole thing was I'm like I'm coming out here, I'm gonna make um
Oh, 1 second.
oh, you're all good. Quick pause it.
But
Okay,
okay,
you're
I'm
all
ready.
good. Okay,
Sorry
great.
about that.
We are back. So when I first came out here to the Bay, my whole thing was I want to do trans BDSM, trans women submitting, and people literally just told me they're like, "Well, there's no one who would want to see that."
Wow,
Like I
that's
feel like there's
outrageous.
right, but there were so many things about trans porn back then, 5, 10 years ago, that it was just like, well, there's only one way trans women are marketable. It's if
Mm,
they're like hard topping someone and that's it.
yeah,
And if we get
yeah,
rid of these slurs, no one's gonna care
yeah,
anymore. And it's
yeah.
just really wasn't really by trans women and really what our real experiences are like.
No, you're right. And there were, you know, there was a prominent director that I remember wanted me to shoot some things for some other like personal project that he
Mhm.
had. And I was just like, you know, okay, maybe. And then I asked him, he had another magazine. He had a magazine that he was doing. And I asked him, would you shoot a trans woman for this? And you know, I didn't ask him to shoot me or anything like
Mhm.
that. And I was actually pretty clear that I wasn't asking him to shoot me, but I just wanted to see his take on it. And he was like, no, I wouldn't do that because that's just not something that people would be into unless, and I was like, really, that's, you know, it's like, the fashion world is coming around to trans models, and you're still you make money off of like trans women, and you're still
Yeah.
reluctant to use your platform to promote equality. And they're like, well, maybe if I filled it up with a lot of fallacies and I think that's the word for penises. I don't know.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, maybe I would do it then. And then, you know, I stopped talking to him, and he had tried to reconnect with me years later
Mhm.
as trans rights had gotten a lot more accepted. And he tried to say, and I told him I wasn't interested in reconnecting. And, he tried to say that the situation was because that he didn't want to shoot me personally. And he knew that wasn't the case, that I never asked him to shoot. He just was embarrassed that he had been so bigoted, and in a time when he made all his money off of trans people. So he actually friended me again on Facebook just a few days ago, and I ignored his request and deleted it.
That's probably for the
So, yeah.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's just that there's so many people that like, there was just so many assumptions put on trans bodies and trans performers. I think,
Yeah.
especially earlier, like I think now you're seeing a little bit more crossover with trans performers working more mainstream performers.
Yeah.
But like, particularly 5 years ago, it was just so really trying to keep us in this like little box, and then being like,
Yeah.
well, you might be nominated for an AVN and everything, but you're trans,
Yeah.
so we don't think you're qualified. And it's just
Yeah.
really, truly outrageous. I definitely
It was
had a lot of,
disgusting.
I've definitely had a lot of gigs offered to me, them not knowing I'm trans, and then after being like, oh yeah, we can't book you
Really?
for this.
That's
Yeah,
terrible.
have you experienced that?
I mean, I had I remember I went on an audition for a ballet company that was
Mm,
doing they were doing a national ad campaign. And I don't do ballet or anything like that, but I looked at some YouTube videos on the ride over there,
mhm.
and I did my best, and they chose me. And the day before fitting, they said they were going in a different direction, and they didn't, tell me the reason. But I thought maybe I suspected that maybe they found out that I was trans, or that I was a porn star or something. So perhaps that. Other than that, I've been pretty well known, so I don't think anyone, would contact me and not know that I was
Mm.
trans. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which is kind of fortunate.
I feel like it's definitely both ends of it, where it's like, am I getting bumped off this project because I'm a sex worker, or is it because I'm a trans woman?
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
feel like there's a lot of
Totally.
that intersectional stuff.
Totally.
I read a thing for it was like for some New York Pride thing through, I think it was like Paramount, and they
Uh,
wanted me to play a high schooler, and then I never got a response. I'm like, I can't tell if they figured out it was a sex worker, and
yeah.
casting a sex worker as a 17-year-old is probably not a good look, or if
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
trans thing. But
You never know. And you just kind of got to let it go, and not really dwell on those things. It's like, I mean, the industry is fickle anyways. It might have been just
truly,
for nothing, it could have been just
yeah.
literally for nothing, nothing related at all. And I mean, I do love the changes I'm seeing recently. I see more and more cis male straight performers that are performing with trans women.
Hmm.
And like I remember I did I had there was a very well known cis male straight performer that has followed me for years, and was always liking my pictures and everything. Never really
Yeah.
commented or anything, but was always liking all my stuff that I posted. And I just kind of intuitively knew that he was one of those guys that knew the truth about trans women and admired trans women, but wouldn't shoot with trans women, and wouldn't use their
Mm.
platform to further, trans acceptance. So one day I was just feeling like, fuck it, I'm just gonna, you know, poke the hornet's nest today.
Hmm.
And I called him out on it, and it went kind of mini viral.
Yeah, I think I
And
remember that.
yeah.
I
And
mean, there's a few men who that could be in this industry, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah. And it was, the reaction was from him was really positive. He private messaged me and apologized and was embarrassed, and was just like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make up for this lack of advocacy that
Hmm.
I've kind of displayed. And I think it's messed up how trans women are treated. And I know the truth about trans women, blah blah blah, and I have trans friends, and I'm totally going to do that, and I apologize. And yeah, and then like a month later, he was shooting with trans women. But what was also interesting was that there were some trans women, some other trans performers that were like coming at me saying how wrong I was for doing that, and really doing their best to be like the most obedient like of bootlickers they could be.
Hmm.
and and then there was also another well-known cis male performer that came in and was offended, and then a month later he was shooting with trans women too. He's done a big shoot with a trans woman as well. So I like to think maybe I pushed the needle a little bit in that direction. And this guy has also
Definitely.
contacted me to shoot with him since then as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, a
Yeah, I
little
think
bit
it's
of
definitely,
tough love.
I mean, as much as these like things suck when you bring it up online, I feel like these things that almost are what are needed to like get that conversation to move forward.
I agree.
And yeah, I don't know. I think particularly in like TS porn, there is a lot of resistance. I feel like no matter what you say from a certain
Yeah,
number of people. And
yeah,
I don't know if that's a generational thing, because there are some people who are a little bit older and like quote unquote TS porn who are maybe
yeah,
from a different just like mindset, I guess.
yeah. That's
And I
definitely, I
think,
think, a part of it.
yeah, I came in very naive. I think I'm from a small town in Michigan, a few hours outside of Chicago.
Mm.
So when I came in and like started speaking out against slurs in porn, I was like, oh, everyone's gonna be cool with it.
Yeah.
And definitely was not the case.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No, I was very naive too.
yeah, I think it's definitely something from in the music industry. I feel like people are a bit more outspoken than in
Yeah,
porn. I feel like porn is very much, we have this way that we make money. You don't come in here and tell us to change anything.
yeah, I
Where
agree.
music, I think music, because maybe because there's so little money in it right now, everyone's a little bit open to being like, okay, we can try new things. That's fine. Because I feel like the music industry has been so decimated. And because
Mm.
of that, it's had to almost learn to adapt, to grow. Where I feel
Mm.
like porn, there's certain sections of it that almost want to go back to what it was in the 90s, where it's, we have 6 contract models and that's the industry essentially.
Yeah, yeah, I think
And
you're right. I definitely would agree with that. It's like I think it's also people, they view the porn performers as more disposable.
mhm,
Um, and there's more, I think there's always a lot of people trying to take your spot who will
definitely.
gladly, kind of bend over backwards to get in this industry, to get their foot in the door, and they'll accept a lot of stuff that they shouldn't accept. You know?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, when you're getting into porn, they'll accept things and then not realize it until later. Like I have a lot of
Absolutely.
things early in my career where I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have been like, oh, I'll work for these companies with slurs that I
Yeah.
disagree with because I
No,
think
me
I can
too.
change it from the inside. Like,
Me too. Me
yeah.
too. Me too. Definitely. And I mean, there are things that I've done in my career where I'm just like, I was taken advantage of,
Hmm.
on set, or I was blindsided, and I needed the money, and I was halfway through. Like, there's been things where we've agreed to as to what the parameters of the do and do nots were. And then, I'm 75% done with the shoot. And they're like, well, I thought you were going to do this. And I'm like, well, no, I don't do that. And they're like, well, I got the company boss, that's what they want for this shoot. And then I acquiesce and I do that. And then I um, regret it later. I'm just like, what the fuck? Why did I do
Yeah.
this?
Yeah. I
So
think that's definitely a problem. I think I'm a huge advocate for the content trade model, because I feel like when there's not like the owner of the company who's like the shadowy figure, who the director is like, well, if you don't do this, I'm going to be in trouble with the
yeah,
owner. Like I feel
yeah,
like
that's how it is.
when you take that away, I feel like porn sets just become so much better when it's like two performers trying to get content.
I
Like
agree.
that's what gives me hope about this industry, because I feel like it's happening more and more and more.
It's so incredible. Like, it's so incredible, the change, from when I got in porn and now, how much more power has been shifted into the hands of the performer
Hmm.
through sites like OnlyFans and ManyVids and Just for
Yeah.
Fans and all this stuff. It used to be just like they chose who was the star. They chose like who was going to be the it girl, and that was
Yeah.
that. And if you
Yeah.
didn't, if you crossed them, that you're out of luck. That's you're not in the industry anymore.
Yeah, it
You
truly is.
know?
It was like, okay, who's gonna be the next Bailey J? Who are they gonna pick basically of
Yeah,
these like three companies?
yeah,
And it's just so, yeah, it's so different. Or even just the mindset when I first moved to California, it was like, okay, you need to book 3 shoots a month because that's rent. And
yeah,
now it's so different where it's like, you don't have to shoot at all. If you have enough content built up, you're fine.
yeah, yeah,
It's just such a different mindset. And I think it really changes how models interact with each other, where when I got in, it felt like there's a lot of competition between performers. Like it was like, well,
yeah,
if you get a shoot, you're taking the shoot from me almost.
yeah, totally. Totally. It's I mean, thank God it's like it's getting that way and it's become that way because um it's a lot of pressure having to deal with the companies, and that's why I kind of I lean away toward, I'm not really, I haven't shot with a mainstream company in like a year. And
Hmm.
that was mostly because of the pandemic. And then it was just like, well, I don't really want to anymore. And I
Yeah,
just haven't reached out, and I've been happy doing my own thing. And, and I'm also in a new relationship, and it's kind of complicated because of that.
congrats.
But thank
Are
you.
you are you guys in are you guys in LA or
No,
Chicago or?
actually, I recently moved to Las Vegas.
Oh, congrats. That's huge.
Thank you. And it's been going well, and I'm in a new business, and so I'm kind of one foot in the door with porn, one foot out the door with porn at this point, and it's really good. I think it's a kind of a double-edged sword because I feel like I was through the pandemic. I kind of feel like I upgraded myself a lot, and
Hmm.
I worked out a lot of I guess mental issues that I had, and
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in the best shape I've ever been, and I'm the most mentally healthy that I've ever been, and the most sexually mature that I've
Hmm.
ever been. So I felt like I was really going to go and really go hard this year and really make some porn that I was really proud of, really make an impact. But I don't know if I'm going to be doing that in the mainstream sense. I'll still be doing trade with
Yeah.
women, but I don't think I'm going to be doing more than that. And so it's kind of unfortunate in that sense, unrealized potential in that way. But it's still for the best, and I'm having fun doing everything that I'm doing, and things are going well.
Yeah, you can make the best trade lesbian movie ever. Like,
Exactly.
I think you should, yeah. Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
you really had to figure stuff out during the pandemic. Like
Mm.
us,
Yeah.
everyone's been trapped inside for a year. Like if you're not figuring out some deeper stuff,
Yeah.
really
There's a
not
lot of
knowing what,
introspection.
yeah, because you don't have the distractions. You don't have, oh, I'm going to this city for a shoot. I'm doing this
Hmm.
on this date. I'm editing this movie or whatever. It's just so
Yeah.
different now where it's, I feel like it's almost a reset where it's like, I can't wait to get back on set. Where before the pandemic, I was feeling a little bit burnt out, just kind of
Definitely.
the usual things that happen when you're
Hmm.
in porn for like 8 years,
Yeah.
which for both of us, you've been in the industry a little bit longer than me. Most porn careers don't last more than 2 years. That you're still around is really a remarkable thing, and that you're still
Yeah.
feeling
No,
in your
like,
best shape and health and all that stuff. That's amazing.
yeah, no, it is quite an accomplishment, I suppose. It's like I'm just like I'm like a senior citizen, like in porn years.
For real. It's kind of wild to see that there's like 3 generations of new trans performers who came
Yeah,
and gone in the time
yeah, it's
where, yeah,
wild. And then there's some people who are in it before me and that are still in it and are
yeah,
still, kicking butt. It's pretty remarkable.
it really is. I think what do you think, particularly for you, has made you stay around this long and have, you know, not had
Um,
you go the way of everyone else who just kind of disappears into.
Hmm. I think that just learning, I think a big reason that, well, there's two facets of it. I think for one, it's the fans have to keep requesting you, and you still have to be able to make an impact every time you shoot. So you have to kind of approach each shoot like it's, like you're kind of a nobody and you really want to, impress. And at the same time, you have to learn how to deal with the pressures that come with being in on set and dealing with, this boys club that often manifests between often male performers and the directors.
Hmm.
And I think that's a big part. Honestly,
For sure.
that's a very big part because so many girls, I think, go through something and they're just like, screw this. It's not enough money. It's too much pressure. I'm going to go do something else, and there are
Hmm.
other aspects of sex work where you can do things privately and you can, potentially make more money. Um,
Definitely.
so I think that's a big reason for the turnover. In my experience, I don't know, I just learned how to deal with people. And I've gotten better with it. But I don't know, I think that I always did porn in a very genuine way. I tried to kind of stick to who I was naturally, and I
Hmm.
didn't really try to do things that I wasn't going to do in my personal life.
Yeah.
And I think that shines through, and people um, respond to that. It's a genuine thing. I'm on there in front of the camera. I'm typically just having sex, and they're filming it, and it's a very natural thing.
Hmm.
So I think that kind of, um, and also just being natural, I think gave me a little bit of a niche that I had that wasn't as popular in years past. I think it's more popular now. So that kind of aided in my longevity.
Yeah, I feel like a little bit before us in trans porn, it was still like everyone had the fake boobs. It was a very
Yeah,
uniform look where it was almost
yeah,
like leftover from 90s porn, it felt like when I first started seeing like trans
absolutely.
porn in the mid 2000s. That was
Yeah,
very much this whole different wave. And yeah, I think audiences can always see authenticity and like see when you're actually there and like actually doing the things you like to
yeah,
do.
yeah.
I think that's so important. Do you genuinely just like performing in porn?
I mean, how do you mean?
Like, okay, let's say none of this career happened. Do you think you would still be shooting porn just on your own?
Um, I don't know. It's kind of hard to imagine. I mean, I don't know what else I would be doing. I enjoy porn. I definitely enjoy porn, and I
Mm,
enjoy the kind of faux celebrity aspect of porn as well. And I do enjoy porn quite a bit, I guess. Yeah. I think,
yeah.
yeah, I would be doing porn.
Yeah, I
you
think
know?
that's like kind of the root of I think it's kind of like music where you if you're in it, you're in it, you know? It's not
Yeah.
just being like, "Oh, well, if I didn't get this many followers or this gig, like
No, you're right. It's not
yeah,
something that you can do 100% for money because you'll just get burnt out, and
yeah.
it'll be just too taxing on your psyche. You really have to be built for it. And you have to have some kind of genuine desire to do it beyond just money, because there's a lot of money that can be made, but you have to kind of really sacrifice to get to that level to make that
Mhm.
money, and um, the glass ceiling continues to be raised, so that's cool.
Yeah, I also feel like there's so many people trying to do it that
Yeah,
if you only have surface level ambitions in it, you're probably not going to be in this industry for more than like 2 years because quite frankly, there is better places to make money if you're looking for quick money. Like
definitely. Definitely.
um so how do you usually like prepare for a scene?
I get up, I have coffee, um, I go to the restroom and I turn on some music and I just kind of get myself in a zone and I get ready and then I typically listen to like probably like 80s new wave. Uh,
Oh, that's
you
so
know,
cool. Okay.
that's like the biggest thing. It's like a lot of montage, 80s montage music and just getting myself hyped up, you know. um, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I go and I just, you know, do the thing and I try to be as positive as I can and hope for the best.
That's so cool. Yeah, I feel like you should do like an 80s porno. Have you done anything like that
Yeah.
before?
No, you know, I remember Ricky from Trans Central was saying that he
Yeah,
wanted
Ricky
to
Greenwood.
potentially,
Yeah.
yeah, Ricky Greenwood. He was saying that he potentially wanted to remake Roadhouse and have me star in it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, as like a gender you know, gender fucked what's his name? Patrick gosh, what's his name? Patrick
Uh,
Swayze.
yeah,
And I thought that was like the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
that's so cool.
You know,
Uh,
but no, I've never done anything. I think I used to have a look that was a lot more kind of, you know, stuck in the 80s. And I kind of I look a little bit more contemporary now.
See, I always read that as like mid 2000 scene. So
Oh
I
yeah,
guess I
oh
just
that's
read that
cool.
wrong.
Right
Yeah,
on. No, that's cool.
yeah,
I dig
yeah,
that too. Roar,
yeah.
raw.
Oh, yeah. Like that emo porn like became a thing during the 2000s, I think is so
Yeah.
cool. Like,
No, totally. I was definitely a scene kid.
yeah, I was very like emo and stuff. I played in like hardcore and metal bands and all that
Yeah,
stuff. So I feel
that's
like going
awesome.
from that to porn isn't that big of a jump.
No, there are a lot of you know, there are multiple girls that were like MySpace celebrities and stuff that got into porn a little bit and that transitioned, you know, and
Mhm.
dabbled in porn that I've run across.
Yeah, I feel like it's honestly, I feel like in the 2000s, everything was so sexualized looking back at it, whether
Yeah,
it's like even hip hop or MySpace or like all of that, that it's just like, I feel it was almost made to be for this next generation.
no,
Or like,
totally.
do you remember like the shows on E, like Girls Next Door?
I remember. Yeah.
I grew up watching that in like middle school. Like that
Oh,
raises you to, kind of be a porn star.
yeah.
Where
No,
you're
I
like
definitely
watching
see
how
that.
video sets happen and stuff at in like eighth grade and being like, oh, okay, I have to go to school tomorrow, but okay,
Yeah.
now I know how these work.
No, I definitely can see that.
Yeah.
Oh.
So where is your favorite place to shoot? Do you have a favorite city to shoot in? Or
You know, I've only shot for Kink once. I shot for them right before the shutdown, but I really enjoyed shooting for them. I'd say that they're probably my favorite.
yeah, I think shooting in SF's a really cool city to shoot in. There's
Well, I shot in this was actually after they moved to Oakland, so it was in Oakland.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, where in Oakland was it?
not sure. It was really close to the airport.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool though. Yeah. I used to live in Oakland. We my BDSM collective works at a dungeon there called
Oh,
Blackthorn, which I highly suggest if you're ever looking to do BDSM stuff in the day.
very
It's
cool.
a really cool place. It's all like owned by sex workers, so they're like,
Oh,
yeah,
that's
shoot whatever
rad.
you want, do whatever you want, very good rates. So I feel like it's just so hard to find spaces to shoot porn sometimes. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I typically I just shoot at my house or that was probably my favorite place to shoot other than in a professional studio. There's it's like the DTLA dungeon in Los Angeles was really cool. I think they shut down though this year.
yeah, they had a really beautiful dungeon. There's a really
They
beautiful
did.
dungeon also downtown now. I think it just opened in the last year, maybe. It's downtown LA Pink Dungeon.
I've
It's
seen
yeah,
them.
it's
I haven't gone there, but it looks really nice.
yeah, that's what I'm hoping for my first road trip after the whole
Cool.
pandemic. I'm just like, I want to get into a dungeon. It's all pink. That's perfect.
That's so rad. Yeah, I want to
Yeah.
get into. I want to link up with some DOMs again and put the video camera going.
Yeah. That's what I'm all about. I'm like, just get me back in the dungeon, regular life again. I'm great with
Yeah,
it.
no, I can't wait, and it's something that I can't even hardly conceive of because I haven't done it in so long.
Yeah.
Just socializing in general is something that I feel so alien to me right now. I can't wait till the lifestyle parties start opening up again and people start getting out there and I can get inebriated and be wild and crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be just so weird to get back to normal life, but I don't know. As soon as I feel like
Yeah.
that first shoot is booked on the calendar, I'll be like, okay, it's real, it's happening. Until then, I'm like, it's all just off in the distance and
Yeah.
in space. So what are like some places you ended up that you didn't expect to because of porn?
Hmm. Places I ended up because of porn. A dungeon. Just that's one right there.
Yeah.
I never even conceived of what a dungeon was before. And I've been to so many of them now. I've been to people, my friends have dungeons and I remember, I guess I never thought I'd be a stripper and I became a stripper and I worked at a few different strip clubs and that was something I never conceived of. Young me never conceived of being a stripper and making good money doing it as well. Being on one of those cross thingies and having an attractive woman like using some electric node on my body is like something that I never thought of as a young person.
Yeah, it's an
Being
experience. I've
flogged.
literally that exact same scene I did before. You
Yeah.
were like on a cross with electrodes. I was like, wait.
Yeah. It's like, how did I get here? I love it though. I remember I did a scene where I dressed up I cosplayed as Robin
Hmm.
and the dominatrix, goddess Tangent, uh,
Hmm.
who's a remarkable
Yeah, she's
dominatrix.
great. She worked with Stephanie Special for my last movie,
Oh, cool.
Fetish Fuck Dolls. Yeah. She's really intense. She
Yeah,
like beats
yeah,
people up hard.
yeah, she does. Yeah, she was Wonder Woman and I was Robin, which was like, such a weird fantasy, like come true for a little old comic book nerd me. But yeah, it was like, okay, go easy on me. And then, she went easy on me and it definitely still hurt quite a bit. But I enjoyed it immensely. Definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah, but have you always been into BDSM or is it pretty recently from being introduced via porn?
When I was a little kid, I remember I went through a period where I was really into Houdini. And
Hmm.
I was always researching Houdini and I was always like tying myself up or having people tie me up. And I think that was like the precursor to being, a little BDSM sub.
Yeah.
But I never really consciously was into BDSM. It was more just I was into whatever my partner was into. And then I started dating this guy who has a BDSM website and he was a Dom. And I didn't really understand it at the time. It was like we just kind of would play around and I would end up getting tied up and left on a chair in a room and, blindfolded. And it was just, to me, it was like, this is just a relationship and this is just fun stuff that we do. And to him, it was a Dom sub relationship. And I realized that later on. Um, and then I got into it with dominatrices and I went on a few dates with dominatrices and I filmed um, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, definitely I'm into it now, hardcore.
That's so cool. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, I had the same where I like when I was young, I was like, I always wanted to get tied up, but I like didn't know why. And then
yeah.
like,
I'm like, I don't know why this feels good. I enjoy this.
Yeah. Then I was like 13. I was like really like getting into, I was really getting like turned on by being humiliated. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, me
And then I
too.
discovered
That's
it when I
true.
was like 20 and I was like, oh, that's what it
Yeah,
is. I
yeah.
was
It's
all,
hard. It's difficult now because it's like it's hard to humiliate me now. It's like, it's I don't really get humiliated easily now because I've done so many things and people have seen every, part of my body, and I've performed sex acts in front of like 50 people, um, live, in person. So it's
Mhm.
hard to rattle me now, but it is definitely something that I seek out, and yeah, hope it
Yeah.
doesn't get me in too much trouble.
I mean, as long as there's a camera on it, you can't get into that much trouble. So
That's
that's how I
yeah.
view BDSM now, where I feel like early for me, I was like, okay, I need to find a Dom. I need to try to do this with a partner. And then I was
Yeah,
like, wait, I can do this on camera and have my first experience like freaking out and crying on camera of being electrocuted.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'll just do it on camera. That's
No,
way
so
better.
true. And I also
um,
think I've gotten more. I mean, I'm not as much of a sub as I always was. I think that in the last year and last 2 years, I've kind of become more mature and comfortable with my sexuality. And, I used to feel like I leaned so far towards heterosexuality
mm,
that I didn't really have to acknowledge that I was queer, even though I always kind of knew that I was. And now it's a healthy mix of I can go both ways. I like women, I like men. It's just about the person. And with women, I can definitely be a switch, or I can be a dom. I don't think I'm a dominatrix just yet, but
but you can
um,
switch.
but
You
I can
you're
switch.
you're serviceable, Dom. You can do what you need to
Exactly.
do.
Yeah, exactly. I'm competent, and yeah, so that's a big change for me that happened through the pandemic.
Yeah, I really wonder how many people have had who are new to sex work, who find so much their sexuality through sex work. Because like you, I had sex pretty young. Like I had a girlfriend from the time I was in like seventh grade to 11th grade. So we
Mm.
had sex and stuff, but like
Oh wow,
I didn't look at porn until I was like 18.
I
Like my
see.
girlfriend at the time, I think we were like 15 and she showed me porn and I was like, there's penises everywhere. This is
Yeah,
too much for me. I
no,
can't do this.
I can relate. Yeah,
Yeah, it just felt so overwhelming. And
yeah,
then it wasn't until I found like performers like Sasha Grey where I'm like, oh, this girl's doing really intense shit, but she's also like having like real conversations about political stuff and about like activism and
yeah,
sex work and all that. Where I'm like, oh wow, you can actually do both. Because
yeah.
at first
No,
I feel like
totally.
I got caught up in all like, the anti-sex work stuff. When you see someone doing a gangbang, you don't think like, oh, she's
Yeah,
gonna be an outspoken advocate for all this stuff. But
yeah.
I
And
feel
it's
like
like
seeing that.
I think just it's some porn is more sensual than others, and some is very hardcore. And if you're just exposed to the very hardcore, it can be a lot at first. You kind of got
Mm,
to dip your toe in, and maybe a little soft core to get you started.
yeah, I think seeing that and like also seeing people like I really like Joanne Angel going back to emo porn, just being
Yeah,
like, oh wow, these are like girls who like I would actually think are hot and who I actually like see at a show or something. Like something more
yeah,
relatable is than just like, oh, there's a really hot porn girl who lives in LA who
absolutely.
there's
I
nothing
agree.
relatable to it at all.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I definitely feel the same. Just like I found so much of my sexuality through porn because it's like it's probably a trans related thing as well. It's just you don't have really like the breadth of experience to really know what your
yeah,
sexuality is.
yeah. And it's I think that just money has always been a good motivation for me for like everything in my life.
Hmm.
Um, just like sexual related and just socializing, having a social life. Money has always been kind of the catalyst that gets me out of the house and, gets me to these events and stuff like that. So having it related to porn kind of gave me a social life that I probably wouldn't have cared about as much, and
Hmm.
exposed me to people and friends and, things that I wouldn't have put myself out there otherwise for.
Hmm. Yeah, I also feel like just both of us being creative before porn, I feel like there's very few jobs that you can be a trans woman in your 20s and be visible and
Yeah,
like
you're right.
have that. And I think porn is one of the few, like, I don't think with being in music, I would have seen the amount of places I've seen, gone the places I've been able to go. I feel like porn is almost that like specific thing that can give you a lot of opportunities, especially if you don't have those opportunities before as a trans woman.
Yeah, I agree. And it's kind of just like everything's out there, So when people meet you, it's like you kind of they already know the whole deal.
Hmm.
It's like so it's like the ice is often already broken because of that. They've like
Hmm.
seen your asshole up close and personal.
Yeah,
So
it's different where like, yeah, people seem when they come up to you, they seem very understanding of you, even if
yeah,
you've never met them, where it's like,
they they feel like they know you a bit
yeah.
already, and that's always nice.
Yeah, so thanks so much for talking. I have two more questions for you, and
All
then
right.
you can get on with your day. So, what do you wish that you still, sorry, what do you want to do in your porn career that you haven't so far?
Yeah, what do I want to do? Well, I was scheduled to do this big gangbang for legal porno, and then like 6 days before I was set to go to Prague, they shut down the European travel. So I was really
Oh,
excited to do
damn.
that. Yeah, I was really excited to do that. I haven't done a big gangbang before, so I guess
You
that would be
haven't,
it. Yeah,
have you ever done a gangbang?
I'm not on camera. No.
Oh, so personal life? Wow.
Personal life,
For
yes,
you. Yeah.
I've experienced that. Yeah.
So yeah, so you know how it is. Yeah.
No, I know how it is. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
probably
that's
done a
so,
lot more hardcore things in my personal life than I've done on camera, to be honest.
oh really? Wow.
Yeah.
I used to always feel like setting up a gangbang off camera feels so much harder to me. Where I'm like, I can find five people to show up to a shoot. I don't know if I can ever find five people to show up to my house.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I think the best way is just it happens, just kind of you're out and you're with your friends and it just spontaneously kind of one thing leads to another and it just kind of happens.
controversial question. What do you think is the
Sure.
lowest number of people for it to be considered a gangbang?
I mean, I guess it kind of depends, it's like it depends on the gangbangers and the gangbanging, I think. It's like how many gangbangers are kind of, doing their thing and who's kind of receiving. If it's everybody's just doing everything, then it's just an orgy,
Yeah, that's an
you know.
orgy.
So I'd say probably 4 on 1,
Yeah, I would
you
agree with
know.
that. My
Yeah,
view is
it's a
always
healthy
if
number.
yeah, if you can all fit into an Uber, it's not a gangbang. If
Yeah.
it's bigger than an Uber, then it's
Comfortably,
a
if we can all
gangbang.
comfortably fit in an Uber, then
Yeah,
it's just a sexual rendezvous.
yeah. 3 on 1. I'm like, that's a little
That's
bit
just that's just a
close.
normal that's just a normal Friday night.
Just a normal day. Okay, I have one more question for you. This is kind of the hardest one, so there might be a pause.
Uh,
Let's say you wake up tomorrow and one thing could magically be changed in porn. What would it be?
I would, gosh, that's hard because there's so many things I change. um, I feel like, I mean, honestly, I guess it's a no-brainer. But if transphobia just didn't exist, if that just didn't exist, it would make things so much easier. It would take so much pressure out of every interaction. Um, there are other things I would definitely that are up there that I'd like to change as well. But transphobia is, I think, the biggest barrier to just healthy, successful sexuality on film for trans women.
Yep.
Because it's like
I
you experience all this shit and then you don't know what people are thinking. And, people say, I've been on set where people just say things and it's just like, what the fuck? I'm standing right here. And in the past, I was a lot more there's a lot more sensitive to these things, you
Mhm.
know, and I think that a lot of people are very sensitive, and that's it. It just fucks up relationships. It just fucks up so much for so many people. Yeah, and it makes me
Truly.
just, you know, there's been times where I've just been like on edge, just completely a ball of nerves on set. I had at least one breakdown on set uh, because, or I just say one, not at least one breakdown on set. I
Hmm.
remember because my partner just said some heinous things, and I was just very sensitive, you know, and things thin skinned, I guess. But
But you
yeah,
shouldn't
in
have
a
to.
perfect world, yeah, I shouldn't
Yeah.
have to
Yeah, you
deal with
shouldn't have
that,
to deal with that on
you
set.
know.
Like, I'm so sorry you went through that. And I think most trans women who are important probably have a story like that.
Yeah,
And it's just
yeah,
so messed up that that's so normal. And I just feel like if transphobia was gone in porn and trans women could just shoot for whatever site and not like be
that
put
would be
in these
awesome.
little, like, it
Yeah,
would be so different where it's just like, oh yeah, there's two trans women on this site, it doesn't matter.
yeah,
You know, like I
it
want
was so
that day.
incredible.
Yeah, I
One
just
day,
want
I
that.
know I'm gonna see it. I know I'll live to see it. I'm sure. I hope I'm not an old lady at the time. Um, but you know, I might be. I don't know. I don't know. You know, progress has been made. I mean, there's a lot of progress that has been made, and it's you know, porn is a big catalyst for change in this arena. You know, there's so many people's first interaction or exposure to trans women is through porn,
Truly.
and the more authentic it gets, the more um, empathetic it gets, and the more realistic everything gets, the better.
Yeah.
You know, so I just
I
hope I just want people to use their platform, use their privilege to make things better for the girls coming up underneath them. No pun intended.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that's a great way to end it. Thank you so much for talking.
Likewise, it was my pleasure.
Thanks. Thank
Thank you for
you.
having me.